All right, welcome back, guys. You may have seen my 300 Blackout Supersonic hunting load workup that I did a few weeks back with the 110 grain Barnes TAC-TX bullets, the black tip bullets. And at that time, I was getting ready for my deer gun season, and I worked up that load for my 16-inch gun, my 16-inch barreled gun. And I used my SBR for subsonic hunting. I want to circle back around and duplicate that exact test with the 110 grain Barnes TAC-TX for my 8.5 inch SBR. So that's basically what this is going to be, an exact duplicate of the previous Barnes video, only we're going to shoot with my 8.5 inch gun, instead of the 16 incher. The load data is going to be exactly the same, which comes from the Barnes website, their load data. They recommend Lil Gun, and it did not shoot very well in the 16-inch gun. I shouldn't say it didn't shoot very well. It shot okay, but it didn't shoot quite as well as Winchester 296, which is what we ended up using for the load in the 16-inch gun. But, that's, like I said, Barnes, this is their recommended powder. That's the one they've got marked as their recommended powder. So I want to shoot the same exact two powders in the SBR and see whether anything interesting happens. Maybe Lil Gun will shoot better in the shorter barrel. I'm interested to see, we're going to lose some velocity going from a 16-inch barrel down to an 8.5. I'm curious to see if the differential is the same, or if we lose, a comparable amount of velocity with both powders. That's something that's I'm kind of curious about. So we're going to go with the exact same load data. Lil Gun, we're going to shoot from 18.2 grains up to 19.4 grains. And with Winchester 296, we're going to shoot 19.0 up to 20.2. Winchester 296 is the same powder as H110, which is what they actually list as H110, but we're using Winchester 296. Same stuff. We're shooting the same, out of the same batch of brass that I've already got prepped. This stuff is sized and prepped and ready to rock. It's already got CCI number 41 primers in it, so this stuff's really ready for powder and bullet. So this is going to be pretty quick. The loading is going to be identical to the previous video, so I don't want to bore you guys with any unnecessary details. So I'm going to start slinging powder, and we'll be seating bullets in no time. So we're going to stick with the overall length recommended by Barnes, 2.250. That's too long. That's still too long. About 65 thousandths. .252. We'll go ahead and seat another one, see what that. .252, same thing, so I'll go ahead and go down. And that should do it. These bullets do seat over top of the, the mouth of the case is over top of the crimping groove. So on the last load, we went ahead and gave it a pretty good little crimp. That's not quite enough. Maybe a touch more. That should do it. There we go. So that's pretty much it. Now I just need to weigh out a bunch more charges and seat a bunch more bullets, and we'll be ready to get to the range. Alright, so this is it. The last round. So let's get out to the range, see how they shoot. Alright, time to get this party started. See how these guys are going to shoot. I've got my 8.5-inch SBR here. It's got a Rainier Ultra Match 8.5-inch barrel using a Silencer Co. Omega suppressor. Got a Vortex 4-16 scope on it, and we will see how it shoots. Our first load is going to be 18.2 grains of Lil Gun. I did just shoot about 15 rounds through this gun, so it's nice and warmed up. Should be zeroed close enough, hopefully, get us on paper there. So no worries about warm up or fouling or anything like that. So let's see what happens. Okay, those first two shots dropping low. Don't have an explanation for that. They felt good. Let's look at the velocities. The first shot was the lowest velocity, but it wasn't drastic. I mean, pretty crappy standard deviation of 23.2, but that's kind of been what we saw last time with Lil Gun. 18.5. So I think I forgot to mention we are at 100 yards. So the groups are not terribly impressive yet, but I'm just going to keep in mind that my gun likes Winchester 296 a whole lot more than it likes Lil Gun usually. So I'm going to hold out hope. And we lost 2 feet per second on that last charge. That's probably just a function of that really crappy extreme spread and standard deviation numbers. All right, 18.8. Yep, another crappy group and another standard deviation number up in the upper 30s. That's just nasty. 19.1 grains. I have been checking brass as we go, and no problems. Pressure looks fine. All right, last up, 19.4. So we lost velocity again. Another standard deviation in the 30s. You know, this would bother me a lot more, but other guys have commented that they see the same sort of goofy velocity problems with Lil Gun as well. I just don't like the powder. I think I'm to the point where I'm ready to say that. It just, better options, you know? All right, one more group and then we'll move on to one of those better options, which is 296. But first up, 19.4 grains of Lil Gun. So our highest charge was our lowest velocity average. Just goofy powder. All right, let's move on. Okay, first up is 19 grains. Okay, better standard deviation number, but caught a couple crazy flyers, didn't we? All right, let's try 19.3. A little bit better group. Another awesome standard deviation number, so let's move on. 19.6, and the brass looks great. Nice rounded primers. No pressure signs at all. Okay, 19.9. Dang it, that had the makings of a good group there after the first 3 shots. Still not awful. Okay, last up, 20.2. Brass still looks good. There's the group we were looking for. Hey, we broke through 2,200 feet per second as well. Man, just look at those standard deviation numbers. That is why I love Winchester 296, man. Whew. What a great 300 blackout powder. All right, let's get to the bench and see if we can figure out what happened. Okay, let's have a look at our target here. Yeah, groups were a little bit disappointing, right? Lil Gun was just disappointing altogether. Velocity all over the place from 2092, 2119, and then back down to 2084. Just goofy. And if you look back at our 16-inch target, it did kind of the same thing. Like the velocity, ended up going back down up at 19.4 grains, but whatever. It was, I'm just not a Lil Gun fan. I'm just not. So, the groups weren't horrible though. You know, if you're a Lil Gun guy, there are a lot of them out there. You know, there are a lot of people who really prefer Lil Gun and 300 Blackout. It just hasn't really worked in my guns very well. So, groups aren't terrible, but they're certainly not good. Winchester 296, our velocity was better, you know, from the get-go. Our slowest velocity was already faster than the fastest of the Lil Guns. And all of those standard deviation numbers were single digits, which is just outstanding. This was off the camera shot, so I don't think you guys saw that crazy shot that went low. That first group kind of had that one went crazy there, the other one that went crazy there. And that was kind of the theme here. It's like it was trying to group and then just throwing some weird ones out there. We finally got into, that was a 0.73 inch group there at the top end. But, is that a fluke? I'm going to need to do a little bit more testing to find out. But, 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, and then down to 3/4 of an inch. That's not terrible. That's not awful. But I'd like to explore this top end. We got up to 2214, and if we go back to our 16-inch barrel, which if you didn't see that video, these were at 50 yards. So these groups are very tight, but they were 50-yard groups. We got up to 2450 feet per second. And looking at it, well, it's hard to judge with Lil Gun because velocity is just kind of all over the place. But we lost a little over 200 feet per second with Lil Gun, and we lost a little over 200 feet per second with Winchester 296. It actually looks like about 230 feet per second is what we lost. That is pretty darn significant. This 110 grain Barnes TAC-TX bullet is, it's an awesome bullet, and it expands all the way down to 1,300 feet per second. Which I was playing around with the Hornady ballistics calculator, and when I punch in 2214, we don't hit 1,300 feet per second until about 375 yards. So it maintains that expansion velocity pretty darn far out there. But I would still like to have a little bit more, just to get some more energy. Like this thing, even at 100 yards, it's already down to under 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. I'm not a huge, shot placement's what it's all about. And that old guideline of 1,000 foot-pounds of energy, I think, is a little bit outdated, but still, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether that's significant or not, but I would like a little bit more. So I think there's probably going to be one more follow-up video because I'm just about done messing around with this bullet. It shot outstanding in my 16-inch gun, which this gun just shoots really well. This gun shoots really well. But that's a good load. 2,450 feet per second. That's I'm good putting that in my, you know, in my pet loads notebook. But I don't really feel like I ended up with one here. That's pretty good shooting right there. You know, that's a pretty good load. And that's another good thing is that's the same load that we chose for my 16-inch gun. So I could load up that ammo and use it in both guns, no problem. But I'd like a little bit more velocity out of the 8.5 inch. So I think there's probably going to be a follow-up video. What I'd like to do, there were no pressure signs at all. The primers still look nice and rounded. I feel like I could go a little bit hotter than this. So I'd like to probably do a follow-up video exploring this range a little bit more. Maybe shooting 20.2 again, and then maybe 20.4, 20.6 maybe. I don't know. That's, you know, the velocity's climbing pretty fast. So, like, if we could get 2,300 feet per second, 20.5 would probably get us there. Hopefully it doesn't blow our face off. So that's probably what we need to do is one more follow-up video just to see if we blow our face off. There's 120 grain Barnes TAC-TX now. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but I think it's pretty new. And it has a significantly better ballistic coefficient. This 110 grainer is, let me look it up, is 289. And the 120 grainer, it's a boat tail, and it's up at 358. Like, I ran a few numbers with it. Even if I assume we lost some velocity, of course, right, with the heavier bullet. Let's say we hit 2150. I ran numbers for 2150, and it looked really good. So assuming with that bullet, maybe we could get it a little bit faster. That may be the way to go. I'm going to order some of those and try them out. I think that additional weight, you know, a little bit more energy, take advantage of that better ballistic coefficient might be the way to go. But these 110 grainers are proven, right? They've been around for several years now, and people have killed the crap out of a lot of different stuff with it. So, still an awesome bullet. All right, I think that's about it. Lots of 300 Blackout to come. I've actually already got ammo loaded up for the next 300 Blackout video, which is going to be a supersonic plinking video. And we're going to shoot the 147 grain M80 bullets out of both the 8.5 and the 16-incher. See if we can come up with a really cheap subsonic plinker, or I'm sorry, a supersonic plinker. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys next time.